So in this video, we're going to be looking at how to take time quizzes with Course Compass. Remember that, according to the syllabus, after you complete all the homework, and the homework questions are really designed to prepare you for the quizzes, you'll be asked to complete timed quizzes, and you'll have a 5-day period open window to take the quizzes. And once you start the quiz, you'll have 1 hour to complete the quiz. So in the quiz window time that remains open for about 5 days. You can start the quiz anytime in that window, but once you start the quiz, you have to complete the quiz in a 1 hour setting, and you'll only have one attempt at the quiz. So you want to make sure that when you actually start the quiz, that you leave yourself an hour to take the quiz, and you want to make sure to complete the quizzes within the time frame open in Course Compass, and I'll show you how to figure out how that works. So here I've logged in the Course Compass, and you can see the announcements screen. And to take a quiz, you want to go down to, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th tab down. It says Take a Test. So you can enter the tests in the Take a Test tab. So I'm going to click on that tab. And then the quizzes that are actually active and available are listed here. So you can see where it says all quizzes and tests, right up under the assignment here, you can see that quiz 1.7 modeling with tables is underlined, which means that I can click on this link and this will take me to that quiz, and then I can take the quiz. So we're going to go ahead and look at that quiz in a moment, but I want to show you one other feature here about the quiz section here. You'll notice up in the upper right corner of the window, over here it says course calendar, and you can actually figure out when the quizzes are going to be available and when they're due in the course calendar. So let's go ahead and click on that link for a moment. And that brings up this window, and you can see here's a calendar with April. You can go left or you can go right in the calendar. And you'll notice these little orange boxes here, and you can see that the orange boxes correspond to a quiz. For example, this orange box here on April 4th says that quiz 1.7, you can see it's underlined, so I can actually go to the quiz directly from this link. And it says that this quiz is available, and it's basically the open here. Now if I scroll over 5 days over, here on Saturday you can see there's a little clock next to the orange box, and it says quiz 1.7 modeling with tables due. So that means that you have to complete that quiz before 11:59, and I would not wait to the last second, because if your server clock is off, you're going to lose credit for taking the quiz. So don't wait till 11:59 to start the quiz. But you basically have on this calendar, you have from April 4th here, where the quiz becomes available, up through April 9th to complete that quiz and start the quiz in that. So in that 5-day period, you can start the quiz at any time in that 5-day period while the window's open, but then once you start the quiz, you'll have one attempt and 1 hour to complete the quiz. You'll see there's another box here, so this box tells me that on April 6th, that quiz 2.1, 2.2 will become available. And then if I scroll forward here in the window, there's a little timer here, and that says quiz 2.1, 2.2 is due. So you can actually keep track of when quizzes are going to be coming open and available through the calendar feature here of Course Compass. So this is one way to keep track of where quizzes are coming available. And wherever you see a little clock icon, that means that some quiz is due and the quiz has to be completed. You can see here the quiz for 3.1 and 3.2 has to be completed before that time. Over here where we see a bunch of boxes together, we can see that a number of quizzes become available. So on the 13th of April, we have quiz 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, and 5.5 all become available. And then those quizzes, if I scroll forward here, I see another clock. All those quizzes are due, where it says due here, on April 18th. So you can keep track of when quizzes are going to become available, and then also when they're due through the calendar feature here in Course Compass. So let's go ahead and look at a quiz. So I'm going to go back to take a test. Or you can again access it from that calendar. But so here I see the link is active. That means this quiz is available now and should be taken. Over here you can see it says due, and there's a little clock, and it tells me that the quiz is due on 4/9. 11 at 11:59 p.m. So you'll have to keep track of these quizzes and make sure to complete them in the time completed. If you miss a quiz, then you'll lose out on taking that quiz. But as it says on the course syllabus, we drop your 5 lowest quizzes at the end of the class. So if you miss 1 or 2 quizzes, it's not going to matter because the lowest quizzes, the 5 lowest quizzes are going to be dropped anyway. So, okay, so let's go ahead and click on this link here and open up the quiz. And so you can see now it gives the quiz name up here. It tells me when the quiz is due. It tells me that you have 60 minutes. Over here it says you have 60 minutes left to complete the assignment. And if you want to view a tutorial on how to enter your answers, you can certainly do that. So you can click there. Bring that window into view here. And it's over here, it says entering answers in the MathXL player. It says view a tour on how to enter answers. So you can click on that link and then you can start watching the tour, and that will explain how to enter answers. So that's one thing you can do. Okay, so once you've viewed the little tutorial there and you feel comfortable, and basically it's the same editor you use when you complete the homework you want to do you'll be using for the quizzes, so you won't have anything unfamiliar here. If you complete all the homework problems and you've done the homework, or at a minimum at least looked at the homeworks, the quiz problems are going to be based on the homework, so they're going to be very similar to the homework problems. So the best way to do well on the quizzes, which are graded, is to look over the homework and either complete all the homework or at least scan over the homework problems and make sure that you can do the homework problems. And if you feel that you are ready to take the quiz, then you can either do the homework or skip the homework and just try taking the quiz directly. If you do poorly on a quiz, then you're going to need to start doing some of the homework, so you'll have to decide what works. But the quizzes are based on what you complete in the homework, so the best way to guarantee that you'll do well on a quiz is to complete all the homework for the corresponding section. Okay, so let me go ahead and click here. I am ready to start. And what this will do is this will bring me into the quiz. So when you're actually ready to start the quiz, now once I click on this, you're going to enter into the quiz, and then the timer is going to start counting off, and you're going to have 1 hour to complete the quiz. So once I click on this button, you'll see a new window come up, and then I'll show you how to keep track of the timer that comes up. And we'll go ahead and look at what the actual quiz looks like. So let me go ahead and click on this button now. Okay, so I clicked on that button and the quiz has come up, and now you can see over here it says time remaining here on the top window here, along the top here. So let me just sort of scroll here. Okay, so it says this question. I'm right up on above the directions for the problem here. You can see the navigation tool. You can go to the right or the left. So the navigation tool, you can click on one of the numbers for the quizzes. So you don't have to do the quiz in order. You can do the quiz in any order. You just select the problem, and then you can just click the right arrow or just click on the problems. You can see that this quiz has, so how many questions does it have? If I go below the screen here, it says just below the navigation tool, you can see it says this question 1 point, this test 5 points. Time remaining, currently there's 58 minutes. So once you enter into the quiz, this timer starts counting down, and this is the time that you have remaining to complete the quiz. And you have to complete the quiz in one session. If you leave, it's going to be scored immediately. And if you've got half of the quiz incomplete when you leave, you're going to lose points on that. And then it says 0 of 5 complete. So that tells me that there's 5 questions on this quiz that I have to complete. So that's questions 1 through 5. To the right of the 0-5 complete, you'll see a little arrow here, and it says, you can see as I hover my mouse over this, it says fit to window, so I can expand the question to make it bigger if you want, or you can make it smaller. And then as you work out the problems, you'll put your answers in the boxes here. You can see there's some boxes here. So here I've got a table and a function, and I'm going to go ahead and you just put a number in here, so you just put whatever your values are. I'm just making numbers up so you can see how I'm entering stuff. And you can use the toolbars on the left when you need to. So the typesetting tools are there available to you. Just click on more. And so you put something in the boxes, and you know, so you work out your questions and make sure to fill in all the boxes. And then once I've answered all the parts of this problem, I just go on to the next problem. If you leave a part of a problem incomplete, it will tell you that you have more to do in the problem, and you can see there's a little scroll bar here that allows me to see the multiple parts of the problem. So for example, if I put one answer in the problem here, or two answers, and then I go to the next problem, you can see it says, warning, you have not completed all parts of this question. Are you sure you want to leave? And if I click no, I can go down and complete the rest of the question. So you can see that this question has multiple parts. So during that hour, you'll work out all the questions. When you've actually submitted a problem, you'll notice problem number 1 here has a blue circle drawn around it. That tells me that I've submitted an answer for that one. Problem 2 is the one where you see an orange circle. That's the one that I'm currently working on. Or I can jump to problem 5. And it says, are you sure you want to leave this question? Yes. Now, nothing will get scored until you click the submit button here in the bottom right. So until you click submit, you can go backwards and forth, change answers, check your answers. Remember to keep an eye on that clock there in the top of the window where it says time remaining. And then you just go ahead and do all the parts of the quiz, and then when you're ready to submit it, you come down here and click submit, and the quiz gets submitted. So that's the basic process for doing quizzes. One thing that you will notice here is that unlike in the homework screen, there's no aids here for the quiz. So all the help me solve this and show me an example, the aids are not there. So when you complete the quizzes, you're going to have to be able to do the quizzes on your own. And this will help prepare you for the midterm and the final that are going to be done in class. So you want to ideally be able to do these quizzes without any help anyway, because you're going to need to be able to do that on the midterm and the final anyway. And as in terms of what notes and calculator you can bring to the midterm and the final, you should consult the course syllabus on that. And as we get closer to the midterm and final, we'll probably send you a reminder also. But on quizzes, it's basically just you and Course Compass, no learning aids whatsoever. And of course, you can use your graphing calculator to help you. This class does use a graphing calculator, so you're certainly welcome to use your graphing calculator to assist you as you complete the quizzes. But that's basically the process for quizzes. So once you've entered all your answers and made all your submissions, you go down here and click the submit button. You need to do this before the timer runs out, of course. You click the submit button, and it tells me I have 3 unanswered questions, and do you want to submit the test? And if I click no, I can go figure out which ones I haven't completed. But more or less, the problems that are complete, like problem, let's see here, this is problem. So it says you have not completed all parts of this question. So if you want to make sure that you've completed everything, if you click off a problem you're working on and you ever see this warning, then you want to make sure to finish and complete all the parts to the problem and then go on. So once I've completed all 5 problems in the time remaining, when you get down to about 1 or 2 minutes remaining, a window will pop up and it will tell you you have only 2 minutes remaining to finish your quiz. If you forget to submit the quiz at the end of the time period, what will happen is Course Compass will automatically submit whatever you've worked on to that point and grade the quiz based on what you've got submitted. So if you forget to submit it and time runs out, it'll just be automatically submitted by Course Compass. But ideally, you submit the quiz before the end of the time window here. And you can see at the moment I still have 53 minutes and 43 seconds remaining. And again, the big thing here is once you start a quiz, you can start the quiz anytime in the open period that lasts for 5 days. But once you start the quiz, you'll have to complete the quiz in 1 hour, and you'll have 1 attempt at the quiz, and then it will be graded, and that grade will count towards your grade in the class. Keeping in mind that we're going to drop the 5 lowest quizzes, so if there's any kind of you lose internet connections or whatever other reason you have for not being able to submit the quiz, that will be one of the quizzes that we drop. Okay, so when I'm ready to submit the quiz, I'm going to go ahead and click yes. And it says you still have 3 unanswered questions, and it says, are you sure you want to do this? But since this is just a trial, I'm going to go ahead and click yes. This is in general, you wouldn't want to submit yes if there were problems that you hadn't answered. But I'm going to go ahead anyway. And then what will happen is you'll get a quiz summary, and it will tell you which questions you got correct and which ones you missed. Once the quiz window closes, after the quiz is due, you can actually go back and review all these questions and see what the correct answer was and then work through and find out why you missed a particular problem. So after the quiz window closes, you can go back and actually come in here and review your quizzes, and I can show you how to do that in a future segment. So on this quiz, my score was 0%. I got 0 out of 5 correct. I wasn't trying to get anything correct, but ideally your score here, when you get your results, is is certainly over 70%. Probably better on quizzes would be if you can get into the 80 to 85 or above percentage. That would be good. That would demonstrate a good mastery of concepts. Getting just 70% is probably not good enough to really have the mastery you're going to need to be able to do the midterm. So your goal here is really at least 80% or higher on these quizzes. And some early on, the first couple of weeks of the class, the material is review, so the quizzes will seem easier, but later you may find that you have to complete more homework before you actually are ready to complete the quizzes. If you get into trouble on the quizzes, then you're going to have to submit an incomplete or an incorrect quiz, and then you'll lose points on that. So again, make sure to at least review the homework problems before entering in the quizzes. And if you think you can do the quiz without having to actually work through all the homework problems, you're certainly welcome to do that. If you do that and you get a low score in the quiz, then of course you'll need to start doing the homework. So we leave that up to you to decide what to do there. So that's it. That basically completes the quiz process in Course Compass, from checking when the quiz is open to taking the quiz and then submitting the quiz in the time that you're given by Course Compass. So that completes this video.